But the studies of something called neuroplasticity always focus on the brain. And neuroplasticity is how experience shapes neural connections throughout the lifespan. So as psychotherapists, our basic science, let's hear a bless you for everyone who's going to see you. Bless you. Now we cannot keep on blessing everyone. So, but you are all permanently blessed. So we have this idea that the body has this energy information flow, and the study of how this flow is shaped by connections among neurons is mostly done through a field of neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity does emphasize the thing in the skull. So it makes sense for us in therapy to use the word brain, knowing that this thing in the skull is completely connected to the entire body. And in fact, it's completely connected to the relational world too. So we'll just use the word brain, but you need to understand that it's never just what's on the skull. The whole body is the brain. But neuroplasticity does study the brain, and that's our basic science. If there's any basic science for us, it's the study of neuroplasticity, which doesn't study the whole body, it studies the brain. So let's just use the word brain, but know what that means. Okay, so energy and information flow can be modified by the focus of attention within awareness. So you'll see, well, I'll describe it right now, that there is a statement we can make about not just monitoring with more clarity and depth and stability, that's step one, but step two is, can you ask the question and answer the question, what is a healthy mind? Okay? And this is where, you take the field of mental health and you realize it's the wrong name. It should be the field of mental disease or mental disorder or something. So here's the take-home set of lessons in the next 10 minutes or so. Well, what this comes from is looking at a tremendous amount of science to try to address the question, what is health? And in particular, what is a healthy mind? And so, of course, in the short amount of time that I'm going to say these things, they're going to seem too condensed. I understand that. So that's why you have all these books that I've published, and you can read them. So here it goes. Health is integration. Period. Health, well-being, happiness, meaning, all the things that you associate with health, come from integration. Integration is the linkage of differentiated parts of a system. Linkage of differentiated parts of a system. Let's take people in a relationship. I have 2 kids. For me to have an integrated relationship, I have to honor the difference between my child and myself and promote compassionate communication between myself and my daughter, let's say. That would be called integrative communication, the honoring of differences, the promoting of linkages. My field of research is called attachment. I can summarize my entire field and what my colleagues have been doing for 40 years with the following statement. Secure attachment comes from integrative communication, period. That's the whole thing. I mean, I hate to reduce it, but that's really what it is. Secure attachment, which is not a guarantee of health, but it's like a inoculation toward health. It's a vaccination that supports health. comes from integrative communication. Lesson number 2. Regulation in a body is healthy when it's integrated. What I mean by that is when you have connections in the brain that link differentiated areas to each other. Those circuits are called integrative circuits. So we'll do a quick hand model of the brain. If you put your thumb in the middle, put your fingers around like that. In the brain, this is my PowerPoint slide. In the brain, this is a take-home PowerPoint slide, you see. The brain would be like this. So you have the spinal cord that brings in much of what goes on in the body upward. You also have the 10th cranial nerve, the vagus nerve, also brings things into the skull. So the spinal cord and the vagus nerve bring things from the body into the skull. Now if you lift your fingers up, lift your thumb up, the first part of this skull part of the brain is the brain stem. It's very old. It takes in information and does an energy flow and makes information from it, regulates states of arousal in the body. It has the fight, flight, freeze areas that regulate whether you're going to do those reactive things or be a part of a receptive state where you can be open and connected to yourself and others. On top of the brainstem, this is at least 300 million years old, the brainstem. On top of the brainstem, you have the limbic area, which is 200 million years old. This allows you to do all sorts of information processing, like create feelings, which are totally about information. Feelings give you deep meaning, and information is all about meaning. So emotions, evaluating the significance of things, motivating your behavior, shaping memory, and attachment relationships, all mediated in this limbic area. And then if you fold your fingers over the top, this is also a mammalian invention. The cortex, the outer bark of the brain, the back of it mostly creates maps of the outside world with what you touch or what you see or what you hear. It does other things too, but that's the starting place. From these knuckles forward is your frontal lobe, and this developed in a big way when we became primates, apes, and this part from your last knuckles to your fingernails is your prefrontal cortex, which became elaborate and sophisticated in our human evolution in recent times, especially over the last 40,000 years. This prefrontal cortex is one of the most integrative regions of the brain. It, along with an area called the hippocampus, which is a part of the limbic area, and the corpus callosum, which links the left and right part of the brain, as well as the cerebellum and other areas, are the areas that link widely separated areas to each other. So, in kids who've been abused or neglected, these are the three areas that are primarily injured with those bad experiences early in life: the corpus callosum, the hippocampus, and the prefrontal region. When you don't have integrative communication, the integrative fibers of your brain don't grow. So here's the summary statement. Integrative communication stimulates the growth of integrative fibers in the brain. That sentence took 20 years to figure out. Integrative communication in relationships stimulates the growth of integrative fibers in our embodied brain.